tell you, I'm going to call to order the Warren County School Board this Thursday meeting, this Thursday, April the 23rd, via Zoom conference. And I've got a couple of things I'd like to read just to clarify for tonight. In conformity with the Executive Order 19 and upon guidance by community public health officials, I, as chairman, have determined that this meeting electronically is necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare in light of COVID-19. Also, just for clarity, so we'll know what's going to happen during the motions tonight, I just want to say that I will repeat the said motion, whatever it is. I will also name the member who makes the first and second motion. And lastly, after the motion has been voted on, Dina will take a verbal roll call of the motion, either yay or nay. So we'll do that every time there's a motion, just for clarity and make sure we have good records tonight. So upon calling the board meeting to order, I guess I need a motion on the approval of tonight's agenda.
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
And I second it.
So we have a first by Helen Martin and a second by Sue to approve tonight's agenda. And we just need to vote on that. Now at this point, Dina, do we vote and then you do roll call as well?
We'll just do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Just ask her to call the roll.
Okay, so Dina, call roll.
Okay. Tanya Bess,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
Yes.
James Bennett. James Bennett,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Helen Martin,
Yes.
Bill Zekman.
Yes.
Just push it down.
Motion carried.
Okay. So, and now secondly, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, just so the public knows we will have a flag here. We will stand and be out of focus for a few moments. So let's stand and do the pledge.
Let's stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Too high.
Okay, very good.
I'm glad everybody was wearing pants.
So next on our is approval of the consent agenda. So we need a motion for that.
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so Bill Zekman, first motion, and Teddy Jones, second. Dina, if you'll call roll on that particular one.
Okay. Tanya Bess,
Gotcha.
Yes.
Sue Anderson, Sue Anderson,
Yes.
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones,
Yes.
Helen Martin,
Yes.
Bill Zekman.
Yes.
Okay, so moving right along, that takes us to our operations report. And at this point, I'll leave that to Bobby.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chairman. In your board packet, we've got several items in operation. The first one is Project Coach. And I think you have some documents there. We've discussed recently with our staff and with our principals changing from the current evaluation model, which is the team model, which we've used since its inception, to Project Coach. Project Coach is a more of a coaching background evaluation model. It kind of fits more into really what we do as a district and the things that we've done over the past several years with our principal pipeline. And there's several things in there that I think are more advantageous for teachers. One, it's more instructionally based, where we can use the information that we get and put it into practice in the classroom. So that's one thing that we really want to use. It's more instructional coaching based. rather than paperwork heavy. You only score out one time for educators. So the full year, they can get feedback going forward, and then they can score out at the end of the year. So the paperwork's going to be a whole lot less. The feedback that goes on is continuous. So principals like it because they can get in classrooms more, and then they can provide feedback, and they're not having to constantly score, along the way. So the score would be a cumulative score. As you see, there's a fact sheet there that Autumn's pulled together that, we provided you. Again, it's approved model by the state. What we would just want to do, or what we're asking to do, is to change from the team model to the project coach model for the 2021 school. So yes, sir.
For adoption of the administration's recommendation.
And I'll
I
second.
second.
Okay, we have a motion on Project Coach to accept that. Bill Zekman, first motion, and Teddy Jones is second.
I think Mr. Bennett had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When I was reading this, I was just wondering, is there any certain number of limits of visit that the principals or assistant principals have to make to the teacher's classroom with this thing per year?
There are some limits in there, and those are listed, based the same way with the team model, based upon their level of effectiveness. So, they can, of course, the principal can go into the, classroom anytime, but if it's a level 5 teacher, I think they would still have only 2 observations. If it's a lower level teacher, they'd have many more. So there are guidelines there that we'd follow.
Okay, that's what I didn't know, how many times it with administrator. I know the larger the schools has more personnel, so I didn't know if that would be it would require more visits than the other one did.
Yeah, no, it doesn't require any more, but the visits that are in there are shorter. So, you may make a 20-minute visit rather than an hour visit, but you can do that more often as you go through the year. So it's designed to give short pieces of feedback more often to the teacher, and, gives the principal discretion. And like I said, they can determine if there's a teacher that's more in need of their help rather than a level 5 teacher. They can spend more time with that teacher than the level 5 teacher.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Bobby.
Teddy.
Yeah. This is a brand new program rolled out. No one has used it yet, or has another school system put it in place and tried it out?
No, there's several school districts using it. Lawrence County is the one that we've talked to. They're using it in Ray County, Hamilton County. So there's several other school districts that have used this and used it successfully. So we tried to do our research, on the front end on that to make sure that it was something that we'd really, want to use. So yes, it's been used for several years.
So Bobby, this is a recommendation from the State Department of Education. So I'm assuming that all the language is already approved by the state.
Well, it's an approved model by the state. There's several approved models. There's one model called the Tiger model. There's the team model that we've used and a lot of school districts have used. There's Project Coach, and the department allows the flexibility to choose a model that works best for each district, so the district can determine and apply to use that. So the reporting system is the same. It's a whole lot easier. It's an Excel spreadsheet once a year that we upload to the state. And you don't have to, it's not paperwork heavy like team is, and it'll give us, I hope, a better functioning district instructionally moving forward. But yes, it is approved. It's not a recommendation, but it is an approved model.
Okay, well, I like the idea of less paperwork and more time on task.
Absolutely. I think principals like that too. And like we said, we brought them in, brought a team of principals in, and then we let it go out to all the principals to get feedback from them, and they were all in agreement.
Okay, anybody else have any more discussion on Project Coach? Okay, if not, again, we've had a motion by Bill Zachman and a second by Teddy Jones. We'll go ahead and vote. Dina?
Tanya Bess,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
Yes.
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones,
Yes.
Helen Martin,
Yes.
Bill Zachman,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. I know our principals will be excited about that, and we're going to work on, Autumn's working on some videos and some plans right now to roll that out to staff, and I think this will it'll make a huge difference in our instructional program. So I think it'll be, again, a welcome for our teachers and welcome for our administrators for sure. The next item is our pole barn. You know, we've got the approved plans, we've got those bids approved. I did ask for our engineer, Dave Allman, to come down, take a look at the site, because we had looked and talked about a couple of sites, one closer to the school and one closer to our ball fields. And then the original site, which was behind the baseball field. So Mr. Allman, David Northcutt, and David Grissom, who is the builder, all met at the high school, looked at the sites. And Mr. Allman felt like that the original site would be the best site for us to build the barn on. I know the discussion was, you know, how we're going to get students out there, things of that type. And, you know, we'll have to develop a plan, you know, if we have to transport students, you know, from the building who may be handicapped or things of that type. We've got, I think, some vehicles that we can do that with. As far as the time frame, you know, about them getting out there, you know, we can adjust that time frame as well, so they make sure they're not late for class. But the big issue was both sites that we were looking at were adjacent to a storm drain. And if there's materials that run down into that storm drain and get into that could cause us an issue with T-deck, which, you know, we did not want for sure. So upon Mr. Allman's recommendation as our engineer, you know, I think the site should be the original site behind the baseball field. That'd be my recommendation.
What did Miss Smith, did she have anything else to say about going back to the original site?
I sent it to Miss Smith and also Tracy Reisinger. I have not heard from her. So I assumed that everything was good. I did talk to Miss Reisinger, and she said that, you know, she had not heard any more, you know, from that. So I think she understands that, you know, our engineer, we've got to kind of go with that recommendation, and I think she's okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, is any more questions? We ready for a motion on that?
I move we go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Do we know about how long it's going to take them to, once they start, to complete it? Will it be finished for, I guess, in the fall school beginning year?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, I don't know the time frame, but I know Mr. Grissom's waiting on us to give him the go ahead. So I think he'd probably get it done. David, what do you think? In, you know, a couple weeks, 3 weeks, maybe?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I was having to get unmuted. Yeah, it shouldn't take long. Like you said, he's waiting. He's just he's really waiting to order materials, and you know it'll be a pretty quick turnaround. I feel like.
Oh, it'll definitely be ready for school start. There's no.
Yeah, I would say no longer than a month, maybe.
Yeah, that would be the longest, I would think.
You know, I think we talked about maybe using golf carts, especially backward facing back seat, if we have students who have mobility issues. Is that what you're thinking about, Bobby?
What's that now?
Using golf carts or something like that, or like a John Deere gate or something like that to transport our students if they have mobility issues.
Yes, we've already got some carts there that we could use for that. You know, there's also a bus that is stationed there, you know, and if worse come to worse, if we had to, you know, have a special education bus, you know, there to transport, you know, at certain times, we can do that as well. So, you know, we definitely make the arrangements that need to be made.
Very good.
Just to be clear, on the map that's provided, is that, are we talking about site 1 or site 2?
I believe that's site 2, which is directly behind the baseball field.
Okay,
Yes, adjacent to the maintenance shop. Yes, that'd be site 2. Yes,
okay,
yes,
thanks.
yes, sir.
Well, I think if everybody's ready, I'm gonna make a motion to accept the administration's recommendation and designate site 2. I think you're calling it for the ag barn.
And I'll
Okay, we
second,
have a motion to accept site number 2 for Mr. Bill Zegman,
and I'll second it.
second by Sue Anderson. Okay, any more discussion on that? So that was a motion to accept site number 2 from Bill Zegman and Sue Anderson. Dina, if we can have roll call?
Tanya Bess,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
Yes,
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones,
Yes,
Helen Martin,
Yes.
Bill Zekman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Next item on the budget is Resolution 2020 #1, which is suspension of policies for COVID-19. Obviously, there's a couple of things on here, a couple of policies on the agenda tonight. This one was a sample resolution from TSBA that recommends the suspending of certain policies that you've got listed there, so decisions can be made, through this COVID-19 process. And I think, Robin, there is a time limit on that in there. Is there a end date to that?
Yes, it's through this school year,
Okay.
effective for the 2019-20 school year.
Okay. So yes, I would recommend, approving that resolution that was sent out to every school district in the state to, kind of follow that same process to suspend those policies.
Okay.
I really
Well-
don't see where we have a choice, so I want to make a motion that we approve it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a first and second by Helen Martin and James Bennett to adopt resolution, what are we calling? Resolution of the Warren County Board of Education authorizing emergency suspension of certain board policies.
Yes.
Any discussion on that? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote.
Tanya Bess,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
yes,
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones,
yes,
Helen Martin,
Yes.
Bill Zekman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
All right. Our next item is our 2021 federal programs budget. We have to get this budget turned in, I think actually by the 1st or maybe before. Vicky's got that date. So each year we have to get it turned in quickly. Of course, federal programs guidelines kind of dictate what we have to do within the budget. We did get some increases this year. We're very fortunate, with that. So let me pull that just to give you a little update on that. So with Title I increases, we got $533,371 more in our Title I budget this year. Title II is $114,036 more. Title III is $820.07 more. Title IV is $34,219 more. Title V was $7,173.95 more. Our special education Part B program got $77,407 more. And our preschool program through federal was $7,122 more. So more money in those budgets. What we have looked at doing, just to highlight that, to stay within the program. Again, federal programs is it's support. for general purpose school budget. So we can't supplant programs there. So what we can do is support. So with some of our teachers that we have in the general purpose school budget, with our numbers and dropping a little bit, we're going to try to slide some of those over into our federal programs budget in Title I, so they can do RTI, things of that type. That way we don't have to reduce our number of teachers in our teacher pool, but it'll help GP with, the teacher salary line item on the budget. We've got Title II, it's more professional development money that we can use. And then, this is outside of the stimulus money. We're scheduled to get a little over 1.6 million in stimulus money. And that should come, within the next few months, I would hope. And we'll have to put that into the budget as well. So we've reviewed it. All the department directors have reviewed it. Vicky's reviewed it to make sure it fits into the federal program guidelines to the best of our knowledge right now. But we'll send it to Nashville upon your approval. And if there's any issues, then they'll send it back to us and, ask us to amend it. So I'll try to answer any questions that you might have on that.
The stimulus money, is that sort of like the other stimulus money that we're getting now? I mean, people are getting now, or is this something we always get?
No, that's the stimulus package for the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic. So that
is
money,
it earmarked that we have to spend it any certain way?
Yeah, there are guidelines that it can't be. Number one guideline, it can't be for recurring items. So they really don't want you to put it into salaries. They're looking at technology, things of that type. You can use it for items that are not supplementing, the general purpose school budget. And 80% of that money has to be spent after July 1. So we're still getting guidelines on that. Those are the things that we've got just in updates. But there'll be some definite parameters on what we can do with that money.
Okay.
Does
Bobby, are we
building
gonna-
maintenance fall in those categories?
Do what?
Does building maintenance fall in any of those categories where we can improve our buildings, do you think?
I don't think it would fall in building improvement. It probably would fall into some technology upgrading and things of that type. But as far as structural, I don't think it would fall in that. But again, we've not seen all the guidelines yet.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Bobby, yeah, I noticed with great interest this 1.629 million in one-time COVID-19 crisis money that cannot be used for recurring expenses. And of course, as you probably anticipate what I'm going to ask about, and that's the stage lighting at the middle school. So we've talked about covered awnings at a couple of the schools, including the middle school in Hickory Creek. I think you said that they're steering us away from building improvements, but I would like to take a look when you got your final set of guidelines, if possibly those programs might fit into this stimulus grant.
We can definitely look at that. I don't think that they will fit in there. I think it's going to be more directed at student support and things of that type than construction. But, that might be an opportunity where we can take, some of the stimulus funds and offset what's in our general purpose school budget, to do things of that type. So again, once we get all the parameters and the guidelines, which seem to be coming fast and furious, we can bring that back to the board, and determine how we're going to, how we need to use that most effectively.
Well, I certainly look forward to that discussion, and let's see what we are allowed to do. I think the general the general sentiment from both houses of Congress just to get the money in circulation as fast as possible, and it looks like in some of the other programs like the Paycheck Protection Plan, they've been pretty, well, to say, very liberal with how they put that money into the market. So hopefully we'll get that same kind of consideration as a local school district.
Well, I think so. One of the, some of the things I know that are in there is that offset expenses that you've had during this time. So, our bus routes that we've possibly had to use, and, payment, for that. We've also had to, take by executive order all of the PPE gear that we've had at the high school. We sent that, I notified you about sending that to the hospital,
Right.
in case that was needed, reimbursing that, so there'll be some parameters like that could be used, but like until we get the exact guidelines, we will just have to, we're, going by what they've told us so far. So, Madam Chairman, I'd recommend approval of the budget as presented.
Okay. We need a motion on that, please.
Motion.
Teddy, I have you as first motion on that. And
I'll
Bill,
second it.
was that Bill for the second motion or Sue?
I did second the motion, but Stu may have also.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Bill, I'll put you as second motion. So to approve the 2020-2021 federal budget was first motion by Teddy Jones, second by Bill Zeckman, and now we'll have roll call.
Tanya Bass,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
Yes.
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones,
Yes.
Helen Martin,
Yes.
Bill Zeckman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I appreciate Vicky's work on that. She's worked hard on that as well as our other department directors, and we'll get that in, and hopefully the State Department will be in good shape with that.
Good.
Just a couple of updates next. One is the COVID-19 shutdown operations. Just wanted to update you on where we're at as of today with that. Of course, we've been mostly working from home. Custodians and maintenance folks have been coming in, checking buildings, as needed, and maybe a couple of days a week just to, keep things operating the way they should be. The most central office staff have been working from home and coming back and forth to the office as needed to sign off on documents as they need to. Same way with principals. Teachers, obviously working, as they can with students the best way that they can. We've developed multiple ways of reaching out technology-wise via Edgenuity, that Courtney has worked on, as well as Carl and our other folks, to ensure that those programs have been free and available to elementary folks as well as our high school students. So that's been good. Autumn's kind of led that program with all of our principals academically from the central office level to organize things and get those to Katrina to get wakelets created on our website. And we've put several different items there, for student support, not only academically, but, through all departments. So, and we were actually, again, recognized today in the departments update that I get on Thursdays for the work that we've done. We were listed with 4 other school districts. So very proud of the work that's gone on, in our district to try to help students. Meal program, we're still continuing to do the meal program. We're serving over 10,000 meals every 3 days a week, breakfast and lunch. So that will continue through the 21st, and then we have our summer meal program planned outside of that. So now that, the governor's order will be lifted, hopefully on the 30th, unless something changes before then. We've been getting information, pretty much constantly about, how that's going to work. So I'm working right now to develop a transition plan back for our employees. We probably won't start that till May the 4th, and that'll be on a small scale, just probably essential employees coming back in on a smaller scale. We're going to try to continue to work from home as much as we can, just so that we don't bring people together and, try to see where this leads us, for the next couple of weeks. Up on our website, there's some key dates there of when professional development, can be done. And, is that won't be necessarily on-site professional development. We met as a team today, so principals can decide how that works, if they bring students in or bring teachers in small groups, or they do that off-site virtually. But what we really wanted to do with that is take advantage of the time frame to get some of those required items out of the way for the summer, so that we can start working on the real work that we need to accomplish with looking at our curriculum guides and doing in-service on our new ELA adoption and all of those things. So trying to make the best use of time, through the shutdown. Currently, we're holding our own as far as finances go, with school nutrition, with the meals that we're serving. We're still, our expenses are less than our reimbursement because of the number that we're serving. So financially, we should be okay, in those areas. Budget wise, we're still okay with our GP budget. I'll kind of combine some of the comments there, since that's the next item. But we should have that GP budget completed by Friday the 1st. And then we'll bring that, to you all for approval, hopefully the first week of May. And kind of see where we're at there. We are going to get a little over 500,000. I think I notified you in the BEP. 322,000 of that we have to apply to teacher salaries. So we're working through that process as well. So all in all, I think we've done the best we can, with the pandemic plan that we had in place, until you've actually been through a pandemic, which I've never been through a pandemic, and hopefully I don't really want to go through another one. We've done pretty well, but, we'll be revising those pandemic plans with the things we've learned from that. So are there any questions on the shutdown and our operation that you might have?
Bobby, you sent out, you did send us some information on our feeding program. And as I remember, I don't have that printout in front of this, but I think you said the summer feeding program is just going to kind of dovetail right into the current COVID-19 feeding program.
Yes.
And I guess the concern is that we miss not a day, if possible, of getting those meals out. So is that the way this is set up?
Well, the last day of the current feeding program will be the 21st, and we actually, by state guideline, can't start, I think, until June 1 on the other. So there probably will be a week or so, there of, things that will be a little bit of a gap there. So hopefully we can maybe provide, on that last day more, so that they might be sustained until we can start the other. And then it'll still be grab and go process. We've not really talked about, normally we don't run bus route feeding, during that time. So we'll have to, see what possibilities arise there, but we do have more sites that will be open so that people can come throughout the county and pick up meals at those sites, at the school sites. So there's some parameters again that we have to operate, and we're trying to run it the same way as we run it, in the past.
Okay. Just one other thing on the academics, and you did publish the policy, the new policy from the State Board of Education and the State Department of Education on more or less freezing the academic record where it was when we had our last day of school, but there is the option of improving your grades. So how exactly is that going to work?
Well, we actually met today with Dr. Bennett and Clark and myself and Carl via Zoom. But, principals have been told that they cannot lower the grade from March 20th, but, students can improve. So at the high school right now, they are going through the records, seniors first, making sure that everybody's eligible for graduation. They have to have, 4 math credits, 4 English, 3 science, and 2 social studies credits, and then the other 7 credits can be elective. So they're making sure that all of those students that are subject to graduation are meeting those. For credit recovery, we've actually talked, and Dr. Bennett brought that up today, is that if we can use that credit recovery during the time that we have right now, then that lessens the number of students that maybe have to take summer school. So we're working through that right now to see how that's going to work. But really, it's just trying to keep students engaged. And I think some folks, I know we've gotten feedback of, I'm trying to work and I'm trying to be a teacher, too. And, that's difficult for parents, and we're trying to, make sure that we work, through all of that. But, the biggest thing, and, of course, Autumn's worked on it from the elementary side and the, the remediation side at the central office. But, what our fear is, we always have a summer learning loss gap. We're going to widen the gap by being off from middle of March through the end of the school year. So we know going back to school, there's going to be gaps that we're going to have to fill. That's kind of why in, federal programs budget, we tried to move some teachers into supplementary RTI roles so that they can, remediate students. So, we don't want anybody to fall through the gaps, number one. We're doing the best we can to make sure that doesn't happen. But we do need parent help to make sure students are engaged. And if they're not engaged, then there's going to be an opportunity for summer school. If they don't take that opportunity, then they're not going to graduate, or they're going to be back in the same class next year. So these guidelines, are just run, I think it's 180 days. So these aren't permanent guidelines. So, the 20 credit limit now is for the class of 1920.
Right.
Every other class will have to, have 22 credits as normal.
So if students and parents have questions, talk to the teachers, talk to the principal, talk to you, talk to somebody. Got the official information.
Absolutely. Their teachers are doing a great job contacting kids, by email, phone, any way possible. But, we have our phone lines that are manned. Central office, phone is manned remotely. We'll return the call. Emails are out there. I've gotten some. I know everybody else has. So there's multiple modes, and each school is doing the same. So there's multiple ways to contact.
Very good.
Bobby,
Yes, ma'am.
in this document that you emailed to us this week, you mentioned 20 to 22. This one talks about 24 to 20. Is that correct? Or
Well, the 24, I think, is a typo that was in there from the state board.
Okay.
There's actually
Okay.
the number is 22, but I
20.
just copied straight from the state guidance. I didn't want to deviate from that, and it was 24 in there to 20. So
but it is 22.
it's actually 22. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Budget update again, just very briefly. Like I said, we've got a few extra dollars going to be coming in. We're trying to work that budget, the best way we can. One of a good update, if you can, is our ESG project is about finished. So they're doing punch list items now. Obviously a byproduct of having these controls in place is we've been able to control our buildings, during the outage. So we saved in the March bill $32,297.73 in electric cost. So we are currently, to finish the year on that project, we're $13,495.75 in the black. So we beat our estimate that we were supposed to meet, and exceeded it by $13,000. So that's good.
Bobby, we've got all the lighting retrofits, all that's finished, if I understand it correctly. Now, what about the HVAC and HVAC controls? I understand we were closing in on getting that wrapped up.
Right. Yes, we're about finished with that. Actually got an email from the engineer yesterday, and he's working on punch list items, getting with David Northcutt to work on that. All the HVAC work at the central office, I think, is pretty much complete. Middle school's pretty much complete, so they're just working through the end part, and hopefully during the summer, we'll realize the savings and move right on. So what we've done in the budget back on that is we've taken the savings that we know that we're supposed to receive that's guaranteed, move that out of the electricity line item over into the capital projects line item so that we can pay, the notes that we're required to pay there with the savings. And, now actually we've got 13,000 to the good that if something did happen, we've got a little cushion there that we can work on that. And I think that'll grow over the summer. So, budget wise, I hope that we're, coming in the way we should. Obviously, in this time, it's really a no growth budget, standard budget based on the, tax rate that we've got right now. And, I think we should be in good shape with that, but we'll get that to you just as quick as we can.
Very good.
Bobby,
Yes, sir.
have you have an ideal in the budget for 2021, what type of raises might be in order that we be able to do?
Well, we're looking at $1,000 increase for teachers. That's kind of what we put in there, just to see if we can sustain that. For classified staff, looking at a $500 increase, and then possibly being able to do a bonus, possibly to reach that $1,000 mark if the budget works out that way. But until I really get it in my hands and kind of see what the how much we're going to have to use out of our reserves and things of that type. But that's kind of what we've planned on right now.
Okay. Do you foresee any student decrease?
We did decrease last year about 50 students. So we didn't lose money. We just didn't get as much as we would have gotten. So, we have lost, a little bit over the last 3 years. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know that we'll know until we start back in August to kind of see how parents react to, sending their kids back and, things of that type. So, but right now I talked to Katrina today when we were on our meeting, and we've registered 6 students over the outage. So, we've got some students still coming in. So
yeah, but see, that's what I wondered. Just like what you said, since the online stuff or whatever we've been handing out, or y'all been handing out, will some of these students stick and go to homebound?
Yeah, and that's possible. We may, but our funding lags a year. So in BEP funds, what we have for this year is pretty much set. For next year, and it may hit us the next year if we lose a tremendous amount. That would hit us pretty hard. But right now, we just don't know till we get there.
I know we talked about back in time there about having the VIP homeschool. You still can offer that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if we offer that, then we can still count those students, high school students, just like get regular money from the BEP.
Well, I think we can, if they're in the VIP program and it's the home to school portion of that, yes, we should be able to do that. If it's the flex program, if they're totally homeschool students, then we would charge them, a tuition to use Edgenuity. But if they're with us and they're in the flex program, then yeah, we should be able to gather BEP funds from that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions on the budget or shutdown?
Bobby, I just had one little question, and thank you for sending out that early estimate of our BEP funding, noting 565,000 more that we're expecting. That's the immediate estimate. That's a prediction. And then we're required, as you say, to invest 322,000 salary category for teachers. Is that 332 or 322 out of the 565,000, or do we have to come up with that from local resources?
Well, it's 332,000, whichever way you slice it. It can be, from local, or it can be from the BEP. The requirement is that the salary or benefits line item is increased by 322,000. So, in essence, they want to make sure that, our average weighted salary lags 2 years. So, actually we're working on 18, 19 average weighted salary as a comparison. That's what they compare it to. So the $2,000 increase that we gave last year, won't hit us until next year, when they do average weighted salary. So, the process of that 322,000, hopefully will minimize for the next budget year. But, it's just the budget is really a combination total budget of local and state funds. So those line items just have to improve by that amount.
Okay. What advice are you getting from the state on our sales tax, since the vast majority of our state education money comes from the sales tax?
Mhm.
And with the COVID-19, retail sales have been pretty well crushed in some
Yes.
sectors. So what are they telling you about that? I mean, we've got this prediction on paper of what the BEP will be, but I guess you have to wonder, are they really able to fund that?
Of course, half of all sales tax is, provided to school systems, local
Right.
option sales tax.
Right.
So, our numbers before this, we were a little bit above estimate. Sales tax numbers were coming in good. We were above, everything was going good. But now this last month and going forward, we're probably going to take a hit toward the end of the year for sure. So again, I think when we get the parameters on some of that stimulus money, some of that could probably be used to offset some of the sales tax numbers.
Okay.
Again, I don't know that to be fact, but that's been mentioned. So, the biggest thing that, of course, we'll deal with it in the next policies, but the first item to access that stimulus money is you have to maintain your salaries for staff so that you're not laying staff off. And, we've been able to do that. So, that's that until we get those in hand. But I think some of that could offset the sales tax loss.
Very good.
All right. We'll move forward into the policies then. The board policies for first reading, and what we need to do, Madam Chairman, on this is emergency closing policies. Again, for the COVID-19, what these things do is allow us to continue to pay our staff, deal with anything that comes up as we see fit during this time. So it just opens that up for our local discretion. Again, these were recommended, by the school board administration to ensure that, and our Mr. Cagle, Toss's attorney, to ensure that, our operating procedures are in good shape. And, the auditors will also look for that the board has, said that we can go ahead and continue to pay people during the outage, on a flexible, format. So this, if we can, I'm recommending approval of these. We need to also make a motion within the motion, if the board sees fit, to waive second reading so that we can get these in place.
Okay. Madam Chairperson, on the recommendation of the administration, I will move for adoption on first reading of the policy entitled Emergency Closings, AFC, and I'm also moving to waive the requirement for second reading.
Okay.
So do we want to do these as a group, or you want to do them individually?
Well, we could do them as a group if the Madam Chairperson agrees. We can
Is
do all
it just
three.
the two policies?
We've got three. Robin, do we need to do these individually?
Sorry, I muted myself. I don't think we have to do them separately. I think we can do them together, and there's two policies and then one administrative procedure that goes with the policy. which would only be first reading anyway, but it can go together.
Okay, Madam Chairperson, on the advice of School Board Council, I'm going to move to adopt on first reading policy AFC. The second policy, teleworking during emergencies, AFCA, and the administrative procedure, teleworking during emergencies.
Yeah, they go.
And also that we waive second reading requirement.
I second.
And do we need to add the other into that, Robin? The administrative procedure?
Yes.
I think that's
Oh, he
it.
said he did that. I
did.
think he did
Oh,
that.
he did?
He did.
Okay,
He had that.
Okay.
He did.
okay. So we have a first motion on AFC, AFCA, and the administrative procedure. Do we have a second on
I
that?
second.
Okay. So first motion by Bill Zachman, second by Helen Martin on accepting the board policies, AFC, AFCA, and the administrative procedure. And now we'll have roll call.
Tanya Bess,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
Yes.
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones,
Yes.
Helen Martin,
Yes.
Bill Beckman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. On the next item is our substitute program, and I gave you the information there, how we went through that. We put that out for bid, for RFP actually, and had 5 respond. We interviewed all 5 companies with that, and came to the conclusion that we would like to recommend company ESS as our substitute vendor. They had a lower cost percentage than our current vendor, which was Kelly Services. It's been with us a long time. They also put in their RFP that, they would look at increasing the pay for certified staff to $70 and classified staff to $60, which is what we pay right now. So we would see a little bit of a cost savings there, depending on how many certified that come back in. So the overall bid, it was the second lowest bid. The lowest bid was Staff EZ, but we felt like that ESS had more to offer there, and we checked their references. I think I listed those there, the school districts that they're working in, and got good response back from that. So I'll be glad to answer any questions about that, but that'd be the recommendation of the committee.
I just wondered, are they gonna hire their own person, or is Miss Morgan gonna stay, or have to be applied?
Well, I think Miss Morgan's no longer with Kelly anyway.
Oh, okay.
So yes, they would hire their own person, and they would provide 24/7 access as well to support. So there would be a local person that would be here.
I noticed, Robbie, that you pointed out that it is a based company, home office in Knoxville, and a support team station 11.
Yeah.
That's a positive. Certainly like the idea of increasing the certified pay to $70 a day. I'd like to see it increase more than that, but hey, that's progress in my opinion. Progress.
Teddy?
Well, yes, thank you. It is a big change of a vital service, so I appreciate all the work that's went into finding this. Just to clarify, first thing is to clarify, you said they were going to look into that.
As far as
or on the sheet, it said that they will.
Yeah, as far as the cost for certified versus non-certified, so
right.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Of course, that's subject to board. If the board approves that, then that's the way that they would go. If we, stayed within our budget there, and the board agreed that's what they wanted to do. That's what they put in their RFP.
And other part, I guess, would be what's the transition like for the pool of substitute Are they gonna all have to reapply to this company, or is there gonna be some way to transfer
All right.
that? Well, what will that process look like?
Well, I think they said that they would be willing to work with those that are currently subbing, and, you know, they've got their own process for onboarding and, you know, making sure that they would be, you know, their employees and things of that type. But if they've been currently in the pool, one of the things we discussed was, you know, background checks and making sure that they, you know, had all of that. If they've had not had a break in service, then they wouldn't have to go back through that. If they had a break in service, then they'd have to go back through their process. But, you know, they will provide all the training, you know, and go through those. And I think that's where they would start, you know, recruiting for sure, is the current pool.
Okay, good discussion. We'll go ahead and ask for a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first motion by Teddy Jones, second motion by Sue Anderson to approve ESS as a substitute employment vendor beginning July 1st, 2020. Is there any more discussion on that?
Bobby, if we wanted to go ahead and move this to $70 a day for certified, you just do that within your GP budget, or how do you do that? Or does that take a separate board policy? How do we do that?
No, I think if, like I said, when we do the contract with them, we could make that part of the contract. Of course, the board would have to approve the contract. And, you know, we would look at our budget, what we have currently. We've already looked at that with the, you know, the lesser markup, you know, with the ones that we see. We think we would probably fit within that and cover our costs and actually have a small bit of reduction there. So we should be fine, but we'll be in the contract process. And we'd also have to take, if the board approves this, we have to take it to financial management. It's got to be approved through them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, we'll have roll call vote.
Tanya West,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
Yes.
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones,
Yes.
Helen Martin,
Yes.
Bill Zekman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. And I would like to say too on that, Kelly Services has been with us for a long time. Miss Morgan has been with us, you know, for a long time as well. And like I said, she is no longer with Kelly, but I appreciate her service to our schools and our community. She's done a great job. And, you know, as I said, we will continue to move forward. And I think hopefully ESS will be a good vendor, you know, for us. We were all impressed with their presentation. We'll work, you know, with them to make that a smooth transition.
I'm sorry, the term of the contract?
It's a 3-year term.
3 years? Okay.
3-year term with 2 1-year optional extensions.
Okay, thank you.
So, you know, that's we started doing that, you know, several years. Again, if it's a multi-year contract, the county commission has to approve that as well. But you know, that's what we've tried to do, make it consistent with our bus contract and, you know, all other contracts same way.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. The last bullet there that I have is the fencing project for West Elementary. We did put that out for bid. The bids were opened, I believe, on Tuesday of this week. Stubbs Fencing was the low bid. They're the same company that did the fencing for Bobby Ray on that project. We did have 2 bids, Grissom Underground and Stubbs bid on those projects. We've checked with Vicki. This will be paid for through our safety grant. So that doesn't come out of the project funds. It'll be paid for through the state safety grant. So that I think it's around $54,000 was the bid. So I would just recommend approval of Stubbs Fencing for that bid.
Okay. Got a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, we've had a first motion by James Bennett, seconded by Bill Zekman, to approve the bid and contract from Stubbs Construction in the amount of $54,750 for West Elementary fencing improvements. Any more discussion? Okay, we'll go to roll call vote.
Tanya Bess,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
Yes.
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones,
Yes.
Helen Martin,
Yes.
BillZetman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Madam Chairman, that concludes the business I have under operations.
Okay, we've got other business. Does anyone have anything else for tonight?
Bobby,
Yes, sir.
we are close to getting the completion of Bobby Ray.
We're close. We, of course, they put the door in, the emergency door that was required by the fire marshal. That's been put in. Mr. Allman had some outside items that, punch list items that the company is still completing and working on. And as soon as we get that complete, then that should be the total final completion there.
And last thing for me, is West Elementary on schedule at this time?
They are pretty much on schedule. The COVID pandemic has, hampered them just a little bit, but, mostly not necessarily because of construction workers, but getting supplies. So their lighting has been delayed in the cafeteria, so they can't get the lights up. And if they can't get the lights up, they can't put the tile down until they get the lights up, because the machinery will get on there and crush the tiles. So that's put them a little bit behind. But we met with them last week, and they're going to go. They've already started the demolition now that we know that we're not going to be back in school. They've already started the demolition on the old cafeteria, and they'll start that transition. And he said that he's shooting for, getting it ready by the first day of school. So he feels like with the, with students not being there, they can work a little bit faster. And as long as they can get supplies, then they should be, hopefully by the first day of school, they'll be there. I think actually their completion date would be sometime in September is actually the final completion date. But, he felt like that, if everything fell into place right, they could.
My final thing is, as you get closer to the prom and graduation, will you keep us updated on that, please?
Yes, I'll be glad to. Like I said, I know they had some questions about that, and we asked Robin to do that. She sent that to the board, just to review the legal issues that may go along with that, and got guidance actually late today from the department, and we put that out there to make sure that we set dates so that we could have a goal to shoot for and people could plan. And, if guidance changes, then obviously we'll have to change with that. So, there's process, as when I met with Dr. Bennett and Carl and Clark today, process is something we'll have to see. It could be that, graduation ceremony is, students only, and we don't have families in the stands, and we broadcast it online, but we'll have to work through that. But I'll certainly make sure I keep you all informed and want your feedback on, on what we do there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bobby, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Bill. Go ahead.
Well, Bobby, I sent you an email today. I don't hear you had a flood of emails coming in, but I applaud the State Department of Education for taking a proactive stance on this. It looks to me like they've devoted a lot of thought to this issue about public gatherings and graduation, and they had some suggestions in there. And maybe if we could take a look at that and see how they could apply it to our local situation. I think all of us on the board would like for things to be as so-called normal as possible in terms of honoring our graduates and their families.
Well, that's one of the things that, of course, we've talked about, and, I know it's very important to them, very important to those people that, this may be the only time they get to walk a stage or maybe the first in their family. And, we want to do the best that we can, but we also got to take the public health concerns into it too. So we've looked at, items like, instead of the normal setup, changing the format to maybe face one of the stand. We can spread the chairs. We've done the math. We can spread the chairs 6 feet apart and 6 feet back, so we could observe social distancing. That we may not be able to do like a normal processional to go and sit down. May just have to have students come in, and take their seat, that way. So there's a lot yet to be worked out, for sure, but we needed to get a target date out there. And I know I talked to other school districts. I talked to White County, matter of fact, today, and they've actually mimicked ours and set their dates the same dates as ours. And because they want to try to do the same thing. And I know other school districts, maybe with smaller classes, not like 500 like we have, may be able to do more virtual. So, and it may end up that we have to do something like that as well. But, at least it gives us a little bit of time to consider and, try to make a informed decision and, do the best we can to get as close to normal as we can. I'll say that, and still be safe.
Bobby, are there any beginning talks with the state as to what possibly the 2021 school year may begin to look like with the change of our normal regarding students?
Yeah, there is. I mean, that's one of the things that they're coming out with tomorrow, actually, is some more guidance documents. Each Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1:00, I have a conference call with the commissioner. All the superintendents have a conference call, and they provide information. And they're constantly putting things out on their website. There's some more guidance supposed to be coming out about, they're now transitioning more, towards school opening, and that's what I've talked to our folks about as we move into this time of transition. We need to have a good plan going into what is school going to look like, when we open. How are we going to transition students into academic programs? If we're still in the virus is still active, how do we protect, our staff? And then also, how do we protect students? So, yeah, we've started looking at that, and that's part of that pandemic update that we're going to, be taking a look at. And, there's several, guidance documents that we're getting and, trying to put together the best plan for the opening, because truthfully, I think the opening of school will be, probably more challenging than getting through where we're at right now. So,
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
yeah. So
Madam
we're
Chair, first, while we're on that subject of COVID-19, let me get on a little public service announcement before we close out. The Warren County Health Department is offering free COVID-19 testing Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The National Guard is taking a major role in assisting that. And we learned this afternoon that there will be a Saturday test session May 3rd. I think that's, I'm sure they'll announce the time, but there'll be several hours of Saturday testing May 3rd. So the test is totally free. They got the results back in 2 or 3 days. So every citizen, even if you don't have the symptoms, it's a good idea to have the test just to make sure that you are not by accident an asymptomatic carrier, because you could be totally free of the symptoms and still be contagious.
It's true.
Madam Chairperson.
Okay, thank you for the update, Bill. If nothing else, does anybody have anything else for tonight?
I'd just like to say that Teddy looks right at home in front of the Resolute desk, but I'd really like to see him sitting behind the Resolute desk. I think that's where he belongs.
Yes, he does.
Well, you're the Oval Office, Teddy. Hey, go back there. Go back there and just sit down. See what it feels like.
I appreciate you doing this. I think the meeting's gone great. I applaud you all. This is the first virtual meeting that I know of Warren County Board of Education has ever had. So, history making. So great job. Great job.
First for everything, huh?
Right.
Thank you
Well,
all.
lastly, on our agenda, we'll just ask for a motion to dismiss, if somebody can do that for us.
I move we dismiss, Madam Chairman.
Moved.
Okay, motion to dismiss. We have a second on that.
Second.
Okay, James, Dina, do we need roll call to dismiss?
We can just do it to be safe.
Okay, so we'll have roll call.
Tanya Bess,
Yes.
Sue Anderson,
Yes.
James Bennett,
Yes.
Teddy Jones. Teddy Jones,
It's
Well,
not-
maybe I want to read some more. Yes, I agree.
Bill Beck,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, good meeting, everyone.
All right.
I guess that's it.
All right. Thank you all. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye, guys.